what's up, babies? How's everyone doing out there? Enviro Boy, welcome to my channel. We're gonna work on some writing. Fine. The guy's starting a little late. Happens sometimes. I tragically have a day job that I have to be attentive to and take care of if I'm gonna pay the bills and everything around this place. But we have everything at least stable for the time being. Been one of those weeks at work where everyone needs everything from me for no real discernible reason other than that's just how things are going this week. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, nothing much to do about it other than just plug through it and be on my way with it. So you know, we're doing that, but luckily I've got at least a little time right now. We're gonna do some writing. We'll see how everything pans out. May have to stop soon if I have to handle other things for that job and all that kind of stuff, or we may have a longer break between writing and gaming. We'll see how it all pans out, but we're here. I'm feeling at least a little mellow if a little tired from everything. I'm at least mellow about it. I'm good to go. Hey Muffin Queen, how's it going? Good to see you here. But yeah, no, I think I'm good, and I think doing some creative stuff will help me refocus. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do, baby. All right, let's get us over to our writing situation. It's bothering me that I'm off center in my camera. And I know the camera didn't move. There we go. That's a bit better. All right, there we go. Let's bring us over to our live Doober here. There we go. So, okay. So we've been working on, we got ourselves to a point. Let's see. Oh man, my microphone's peaking a little bit there. Hold up. It's beautiful having an actual microphone, but I'm still not used to like figuring out exactly how to position it and set it up. I think it's better than it was when I first plugged it in, but boy oh boy, it's an adjustment. Anyway, okay, there we go. Those levels look better. So all right, so we're at the next chapter in our sort of campaign project here. What we've kind of got going for us is our players are going to be, you know what? I'm gonna pull up the map because it's pretty and I feel like looking at it. Let's pull up our map here. We want to load up. Oh, I guess we'll load up this map. That'll be good. It'll eventually load up. One of these days. There we go. All right, so we're on our next chapter of our campaign. And we've been working in this new village that we've concocted here, this village of Minadala. And the basic premise of this village is, it's more of a city, really. It's meant to be pretty big, or it's going to be pretty big by the time we're done making everything we need for it. But the basic idea is our players ultimately are trying to get up over here to Ashran Nalor, which is our abandoned elven city, and that's where they're going to find the next key that they need to find for the campaign. But the way to get there, there's like basically two ways for them to get there. There's either travel for weeks around the mountain, weeks through the mountains, and deal with all the dangers inherent in traveling through mountains, which they've already done a substantial amount of dealing with, or head down to Minadala and try to find the old teleportation circle that once connected this city to Ashran Nalor up there. Right, so that's kind of what we've set up here. That's the situation we've set up, and that's what our players are doing here. Now to do that, they're going to show up here, and they're going to find out that there was indeed still a surviving individual living within this tower. That's a wizard's tower, and the wizard is somehow still alive there, and that's going to be part of this stage of the campaign, as players kind of figuring out and understanding the history of this guy. I ever worried that players will watch me building and stuff like this game. So yes, I am worried that they watch, which is why this campaign that we're writing is not the same campaign that I'm presently running for my players. This is an entirely separate project. that I'm doing just for the sake of having it. And maybe one of these days I will run it. I intend to run it. I'm pretty happy with this campaign. I intend to run it one day for some group, but this is a different campaign. The campaign that I'm doing for my players. Sure, I'll pull up the world map here. Takes place in the same world and all that. Loading, low adding. There we go. So this campaign is taking place up all in this biz over here, in this part of the world. And the one that I'm running for my players takes place way over in this part of the world. So they, yeah, no, that is 100% something that I've worried about, because I do have players that occasionally will, they'll occasionally come in and check out what I'm up to. So I've definitely thought about that. So no, it's a legitimate concern. It's a very, very good thought and a very good concern here. Hold on a second. I apologize for this. This is going to be one of those days where I kind of have to be glued to my work phone to a certain degree. A lot of people need a lot of attention from me this week. So, okay, that's not something that needs immediate attention. Okay, it's been a week, and it's only Tuesday. It's only halfway through Tuesday, and it's been a week. I can't say details, right? Because there's like client information and stuff like that, involved in all of it. But to put it in the simplest terms, I've had to be the bad guy for a few people this week. A few people that have not gotten done what they're supposed to be doing. A few facilities that have not done what is expected of them, and I've had to be the bad guy. And naturally that means that I've got a lot of paperwork to fill out. It means I've got a lot of people calling and emailing me for various reasons. And it's like there's nothing to do about it, because like it's written legal stuff that they are towing the line on. So it's not like it's my fault. It's like I'm just enforcing the law, so I don't really feel that bad about it. But naturally, because I'm the bearer of said bad news, I'm the one who I'm the man keeping people down this week. So it's been a week. Luckily for me, my weekend's on Thursday, so I just got to make it through 2.5 more days, and then I'm free for a weekend. So it's one of those days. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I do got this. Thank you. I appreciate your faith in me. I'm feeling good. Oh, Nightbot. No, it was encouragement. Nightbot. Nightbot. I want to change that rule. Like I wish there was just a way to make it discerning. No, you're fine. I do it there just because sometimes bots come in and they'll like do all of their spamming and stuff. So I have it set there just to sort of help do it. But Nightbot doesn't have the nuance necessary to understand all those things. Nightbot, now no one's gonna click on the links now. No one's gonna do that now. Nightbot, now that you've smacked everyone down. Jeez, OP, it's good old Nightbot. Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, no, it's been a week, and if I occasionally have to check my work phone, that is why I we've got the life goes on. Anyway, so we've got our campaign here, right? We've got our city. I don't know, Nightbot is it's got the spirit, but it's a little confused. That's the best way to describe it. But we've got our city here that our players are going to be going in, and they're going to be encountering this wizard that still lives up here. And this wizard's kind of I've got just a very, very rough idea of what I want with this wizard, and that's kind of what I wanted to spend today doing with the lore. He's going to inherently have a lot of lore sort of included and connected with what's going on in this village and what our players are going to interact with. There's going to be a lot of sort of inherent secrets, and I don't know that I want it to be a situation where our players are necessarily going to have an easy time unraveling all of these mysteries. It's kind of more of one of those, it's more of a I reference it all the time because it's actually one of my favorite parts of Lord of the Rings. The concept of Tom Bombadil. I absolutely love. I know there's a lot of mixed reviews about Mr. Bombadil there and his purpose in the book and his presence and what, he's doing. But personally, I loved him, not necessarily because of the character, but because of the concept behind the character. I love the idea of a character that just doesn't really necessarily have an explanation. Right? Like I like a character that has a certain mystery that doesn't get to be unraveled, right? A character that you kind of understand a few details about them, but ultimately they remain an enigma from, the reader, the viewer, the player, whatever media you're producing. I really like characters like that, as long as it's not done in a way that leaves key parts of a story unexplained. I really like that type of stuff. I feel like that makes a world feel bigger and more fleshed out than it necessarily is, not in the sense of trying to disguise anything from players, but just in the sense of, similar. I guess to me, it's similar to when you're, exploring a place in the real world, right? You're exploring a place in real life, and you, maybe you're going through, I've had it happen before where I go for a hike through the woods, right? Through a trail that I am under the impression is just, through the woods, right? And suddenly you find just, a house by the trails. And as far as you can tell, there's no one living in that house. Maybe it's an old, small, dilapidated, log cabin of some sort. And you go through and you look at this and you're like, I didn't understand that this was there. I didn't know this was supposed to be there. It's not on any maps. There's no description within the trail. At the trailhead when they had the plaque there, it didn't describe anything. There's just this random building here. And it kind of turns into this thing, this mystery that you don't really get to have all the details, right? Because it's just an empty house. There's no one, and it's an unpatrolled trail. So you're just going through and there's these details that exist about this place, but you don't have any understanding of what it was. When was it last inhabited? When was it built? Who was, why did they build it out here? Why didn't anything else get built out here? Those types of mysteries, they make our world around us feel bigger. And it's not like anyone's hiding anything necessarily. It's just that sometimes there are things that don't have clear answers. And those types of mysteries are what kind of drive a lot of curiosity and wonder in the real world. So if I have the chance to inject those types of things into my fictional world, I am a huge fan of doing that. I think it's a wonderful addition to a game. Like I say, as long as you're not using it as an excuse to hide key details of what your players are doing, it can be really fun to add little hints regarding things that they aren't doing. So, for this wizard, the thought that I have is he is present, and he has, in some way, shape, or form, despite the wilds being as uninhabitable as they are within this world, he's somehow found a way to survive in this tower. And there's no real explanation for how long it's been. And that's going to be part of the mystery, because I want to provide little hints, little details about this city and this tower and this wizard that are going to demonstrate that this wizard was here all the way back when the city was last inhabited, which would have been a couple thousand years ago, considering that's how long ago the unhinging happened, and that's when the city, would have been vacated. So there's going to be these hints that suggest that somehow this guy has survived for all those ages. And what I want to do with that is I want to get enough of a history to just sort of explain to, myself or anyone else who would run this module, this campaign, enough detail to understand what his deal is, who he is, what his history is, and all of that kind of stuff. But not details that the players get to know. And instead we just kind of offer up little tidbits throughout this part of the campaign about who he is and why he's there. And it's really not to achieve anything other than giving the players a sense of wonder, and it can be used as a springboard to kind of your way into some explanations if players just won't let it go. Or otherwise it can just sort of be there's this mystery being that players interact with, and it just makes this world feel like a living place, a place that has people doing stuff in it, and there's, you know, and they're just little blips in the lives of those other people they intersect with. And that's the type of thing that I really love about world building in general, and it's why I say I'm a world builder before I'm a DM, is I like putting these things in here. I like having a fleshed out world, and part of a fleshed out world is that there's stuff that players won't necessarily get to know, and that's kind of the angle that I'm going for this wizard. That's kind of what I wanted to work on today, to try and flesh out with him. And beyond knowing that I want to achieve that with this wizard, I haven't thought at all about what his history is going to be. I don't have any idea ultimately what I'm going to do with him. So we've got some stuff to think about, and we're going to start with just going over to our foes and friends section. This is where we put people. Now that stuff I do have to hide because that is stuff that are that is happening for the campaign that I'm running. So I moved out here. Start. Then years later, I learned why I needed to start. Wishes of them. Then on. Okay, nice. I like that. I like that springboard idea. I like that springboard for some stuff. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. What am I trying to do here? I need to copy this, and this is gonna be a friend. So we'll put him. We'll just go there. Ba-boo, ba-boo. There we go. Character template. That's what we're gonna work on. We're just gonna work with this, and we're gonna kind of start with this here. I guess the first thing that we need is we need a name. I haven't even thought of a name for this poor fellow. Let's go ahead and go to Fantasy Name Generators, one of my favorite resources of doing the work for me. For all the times when I need a name, but I don't want to come up with a name on my own, because no matter what name I come up with, my players will find some sort of dumb pun to use to make fun of that name. So if it's not a name that I've come up with, I don't have to feel bad about it. Vendragold Rolferin. I like that one just because that one would be really difficult for players to say, and that would be a really fun one to mess with them with. The only thing that I want to do is see if we can come up with anything harder. Let's see if we can go to, I don't know, fantasy and folklore. Do they have just like a wizard name? Yeah, wizard names. Check that out. They've got one for it. I'm thinking this one's a dude. These are awesome. One DS. This makes me, okay, this immediately makes me think of, I don't know if this reference is going to mean anything to anyone. I don't know if anyone else has watched this movie besides me. The movie That Thing You Do. It was a Tom Hanks movie, along with a handful of other people, as are most movies. But Tom Hanks was in it, and it was about a band, and they were like, they had this hit. And it was just kind of about a band that like skyrockets to fame as a one-hit wonder, and then like it's just kind of following this band that goes there. And they wanted to call themselves the Wonders, but they wanted to be unique, so they did like O-N-E Ders, like wonders, like wonders, and that was like one of the jokes. But they had to change the name back because everyone just called them the Oneaters, because that's what it looked like. So this one's like Onedius or Onedius, and that's immediately what it makes me think of. Zoltrisis Div. Okay, yeah. Hey, Valexian, how's it going? Okay, Xanderfell. Yeah. Okay, you win. I'm gonna go ahead and shamelessly steal that name from you, because that is incredibly impossible for anyone to phonetically say, and I love it. And that is gonna be a great way to screw with our players. I like it. I gotta like do it. Zoltyris. Oops, I put an extra R in there. Like it wouldn't matter, like I'm spelling it wrong. Dave. Yeah, you're not joking. Bulletkin. I love it. I love it. Zoltyris. And he if they try to give him a nickname, he'll insist that they call him Sis for that part, rather than like Zoltyr or something like cool and powerful and wizardly. They'll just want them to call him Sis. I like that a lot. Okay, so for just like a general description for this guy, we'll just put in something really general, and we can change this if we need to. Let's go with did I pronounce it right? Look at that. Look at me with my phonetics. If there's one thing I'm good, if there's one thing I'm good at, it's sounding out a word. And the reason I'm good at it is because I am not excellent with words. So anytime I'm reading a book, there are many, many words that I come across that I'm like, I don't know what this word is. Let's sound it out. All right, let's see here. Zoltyrisis, cis for short, as he will insist. I'm not gonna do that. As he will insist. No, you know what? I am gonna do that because that's amusing, and that'll be just like a fun little. That'll be a fun little anecdote for myself in like 2 years or whenever I go about running this campaign for anyone. I love it. So yeah, Zoltyrisis, just for short, as he will insist, is a very old wizard who has used magic to keep himself alive. Let's see, we'll say the one idea I did have for him is his immense age has addled his mind to his mind to the point that he has no recollection of why he is keeping himself alive, only that it is what he does and should continue to do it. So he doesn't really know why he's doing it. He's just doing it. That's like that's part of the ritual. It's like, wake up, have a bowl of cornflakes, go through some sort of weird lich power ritual or something along that lines, and then, clean out the stables, and that's just what he does. This is what he does. Okay, hold on. Let me catch up here. Okay, Alexian, what do you got for me? Strobras. Plant and flicker their bioluminescent hoods. Hunting, roll perception. Perception or stun, dazed or convulsed. Okay, alright. That's an interesting concept. I do like the general idea of throwing the curveball at players and punishing them for a good roll. I think that's a good one. I like that generalized idea. Keeper of the, oh my god. What, did you just like slap your face on the keyboard a couple times for that one? That's impressive. The Volgriev Maltreva book. That's yeah, the Volgriev Meltrava. The vulgar book. It's and that's the short word. It's like it's got all kinds of dark magics, and so they call it like the vulgar text. That's the shorthand for it. What are the Draugr, the Duergar? If you're meaning the Duergar, we moved on. We've moved on from them because they were our they were our last section in Under the Mountains, and we finished that section up. So depending on what our players are doing, they might be suffering and dying. I don't know. It's up to the players how they handle that one at this stage of things. Draugr, though, if you're meaning like the undead, because it's like the undead in Skyrim, right? Or just like undead in general. We don't have much going on with them. I'm sure they're up to something in the world. I mean, it's a magical fantasy world. I'm sure there are Draugr around there somewhere. I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about it. That's an edge. So okay, but now that's a fun thought experiment. Where's our world? Where would there be undead around in here? Like maybe there's an entire society. The book of cooking recipes, of vulgar cooking recipes. Maybe it's like it does that, and it's like maybe it's like one of those situations where it's like a spoof book, kind of like an indecent proposal or whatever. Or no, a modest proposal. That's what I'm thinking of. The modest proposal, where it's like meant to be satire, but if someone doesn't know that, it's a book about like eating babies or whatever, or like cannibalism. Maybe it's like a cookbook like that, where it's like, and that's why they call it the vulgar text, and it's like a cookbook that like is just satirically like a Halloween spooky meals, and so it's like how to make eyeballs, and it's just like meatballs or something like that, but like there's no pictures, and no one understands that it's all just meant to be satire. Yeah, exactly. So they assume it's some sort of horrible evil book, and in reality it's like the best cookbook, and anyone who would do it would probably have the most famous restaurant in all the land. I like that. I just in general I like a good bait and switch. Like it's hard to go wrong. It's hard to go wrong. The only time you can go wrong is when you don't when you don't want comedic relief. It's the only time it's bad is when you put it in there when you don't want it in there. But since human flesh, but it's a translation error. That really means strips of pork. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like that one. Or it's like, or it's like something like, yeah, you need to grate. You need to use. You need a great cheese in there. Best to do it fresh, but be careful you don't catch your fingers in it and put strips of flesh in there with it. And it's just like an offhanded joke that like people just like. It's like one of those things where people often cite it without context to make it sound worse than it is. Yeah. Classic people misrepresenting things. Who would ever do that? Man, see, now I'm curious about that. I'm getting distracted. I'm letting you guys get me distracted, but at the same time, I feel like the undead would probably be up here in the Forest of the Lost Lands, because that's part of the world that actually hasn't really recovered from the unhinging like the rest of the world is. But then again, that's a northern woods area. That's pretty Game of Thrones at that point in time, right? With like the White Walkers and stuff. So I feel like I don't know that if I can do that without people immediately assuming I ripped it off, which is fine because I rip off all kinds of things. Like, it's called getting inspiration, and I do that all the time, but I don't want to be accused of it, dang it. I want to get away with it. So we could do something. It would be kind of an interesting thing if maybe they were preserved in like the Frost Marsh or something like that. That would be good. That would be good. Actually, evil cookbook. That's just called Fey Delightful Book. Demands cooking fish in an office microwave. Downright diabolical. When I first started at my day job, I was back in the days when we were working in the office, right before we were allowed to start working from home, and I heard a story, and they were telling me, they were like, oh no, you can't possibly be worse than the last new guy who had since then transferred to a different location, and apparently there were stories of him like microwaving fish that he had caught like the weekend beforehand or something like that. He would microwave it in the office and like eat it for lunch at his desk, and everyone hated it and they would get so mad, and they actually like had to tell him to stop doing that apparently. Oh boy, it's good stuff. Wait, we're D&D before. Oh, there you go. That's true. I feel, well, like the thing is, here's the thing that's kind of fun with all of this stuff, with all this fantasy stuff. Most of it has origins that probably can be in some way, shape, or form, at least implicitly, be traced back to before humans had writing, right? Like back in the days of cavemen sitting around a campfire going, Matonga honga bongonga donga, hodonga, homonga donga donga, and like sharing ghost stories with each other. So it's like, I feel like most of it probably goes all the way back. So in reality, nothing is original. So copyright laws are a farce, and we should all just ignore them forever and ever. But one for all them damn rich people wanting to stay rich, ruin the fun for all of us. And I'm only half sarcastic when I say that. Absolutely hate the light. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Yeah, they are part of D&D lore, and that dates back to, I mean, like depending on how you want to determine that, like D&D probably precludes even the first writing of it because the idea would have been conceptualized before publication. So you can get all kinds of wonky with it, based on legend. Oh yeah, 100%. Like the concept behind the Night King isn't an original thing. The copyright infringement accusations that you want to avoid though are like having them be too image copy of the version that they put in that Martin decided to use for his wacky stuff that he goes about doing, and apparently will never finish. You know, if we want to jump on that hate wagon there. Um, but anyway, I gosh, see, like this is why writing is such a slow process for me, because I'm 100% like I'm not even gonna sit here and accuse you guys of distracting me, because the fact is I am just like, I am right on the cusp of going off on a tangent and writing things. I have been, so for the campaign that I am running for my players, I luckily have enough of a buffer for the stuff that they're working on and that they're coming up to, that it's not a concern. I've got like a couple months worth of gameplay buffer already built there. But I've been writing one of the future chapters for them that I had intended to be finished with at this point in time, and I've barely started because I keep getting stuck in like this process of like, oh wait, this would be a cool NPC, but I have to give them some history, so then I'll go and start writing that NPC's history, and then I'll get halfway through it and I'll be like, but if we really want to understand this NPC, I really need to describe the city that they came from, so let's go write this city, and then we can write the NPC, and on it goes until like 5 days later I'm like, wait, I still haven't even made the map that I was supposed to be done with at this point in time. So This is the writing process. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the process. And maybe that gives us some insight about why it takes George R.R. Martin forever. Maybe he's just sitting there writing about like the geopolitical histories of old kingdoms that occurred, 2,000 years before the storyline of Song of Fire and Ice even began. Right? Maybe he's just doing that. Maybe it's not that he's not writing it. Maybe he's just doing such a thorough job that like we're not even going to be able to believe what he comes out with, and it'll be just like the Tolkien estate, where it's like 100 years later, we're still getting like new notes and stuff like that from all of the stuff that he's written and created for his world. One can hope. let the hope shine. Let hope spring eternal. Or he's milking the fan base. Shh. It's too mean for us to. It's too mean. We can't handle the taste of truth that exists in such a statement. We can't. It's impossible. He would never do this to us. Oh lordy. My theory. I actually have a genuine theory about it. I have a genuine theory about why this is going on. And I'm not going to sit here and profess to say that it's real, but it's something that I've thought about and I've wondered about. So my theory, here's what one of my theories are. And I'm not going to say like, I'll put money down on it being real. I don't know. I don't know the man. I don't know his psyche. But my wonder is if he has been made a little gun shy for releasing that final chapter, or the next chapter, whatever it's going to end up being, by the reception for the last season of the show. Right? So like my thought is, if there was more like reality in what was going to be, but that's the thing. So that's what my thing relates to with what they came up with for that last season, right? So here's what my theory is. My theory is that maybe they consulted with him more than has been like explicitly stated. And whether or not they were accurate or not, there was enough accuracy to it that with the critical reception and how much everyone hated it, he's now nervous and doing a massive amount of rewriting because maybe it was closer to the truth, and people are now worried, and now he's worried that people will hate the book as much as they hated the ending. And so he's trying to think about a better ending than what he originally had. And that's what the holdup is. That's what my conspiracy theory is. I don't know how truthful that is. I don't know the man. I don't know what his psyche is. But like I could see something like that happening. I could see something like that happening where he's like, "Oh, there was like this part and this part and this part were actually going to be in the book, and people really hated those parts. Oh no," which I think would be an unreasonable fear for him to have, because I think half of the issue is that it's his world, and even with like, because I think that there's not necessarily, I think that the story and the direction that like how things ended aren't necessarily terrible. I just think they were written poorly and presented poorly. I think the ultimate events that took place could be sold in a way that it's like, at the very least, to be like, yeah, that makes sense for this world and how it all came to be. But the way it was given to us was done poorly. So with like a full book rather than half of the season that we were originally going to get, then maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna eat all the pizza with the show. So a half-eaten pizza. Yeah. It's like, so that's I don't know. That's my theory. That's my conspiracy theory for all that any conspiracy theory is worth. But that's kind of what I'm wondering, is if he's now afraid because of how much people hated the ending, and he's worried that there will be too many similarities in his ending to the show ending, and people will end up hating the book, and he's like afraid to ruin the legacy of his stories, which everyone has loved up to this point. That's what my thought is. That's what my conspiracy theory is. So, I don't know. We'll see. Remind me in 80 years when the book gets released, and we'll see. Maybe it'll be exactly right. Exactly like it reminds me of okay, spoiler alert for the show Lost, if anyone cares. I had a professor who talked about how he and his wife, when they started watching a show, they had a joke, and he would always be like, as soon as they finished the first episode, he's like, all right, I'm predicting the ending. Everyone's gonna die. Everyone dies at the end, and that was his joke prediction. And then they watched Lost, and he got to the end of it, and he's like, I'm prescient. I'm a precog. And that was their joke, and it just makes me think of that. Like 10 years later, the joke becomes reality, and we've gone full circle. Okay, I have done like 0 writing. This is fun though. I like talking about this kind of stuff. Like, I will happily get distracted with all this nonsense every single time. I'm a big fan of that. big old goofy fan of this type of stuff. So okay, let's see. Let's think about our wizardly our wizard sis, as he insists to be called. This is just absurd. Sometimes if you inject the joke up front, you can head off whatever worse, more insulting jokes your players come up with. That's one of the tactics I've found for dealing with sarcastic players, which is a redundant statement, really. Like, sarcastic players, it's like, is there a group of players that aren't sarcastic? 80 years, expecting him to live to be 153 years old? Possibly. You never know with medical technology nowadays. Although, like, it honestly wouldn't surprise me too much if he sets, like, some sort of stipulation in his will that his estate may release the book only after he passes or something like that. So that way, if everyone does hate it, then we could all be like, oh, well, the man's dead. Don't speak ill of the dead, and just let it go, and he doesn't have to deal with it. 73 right now. Hey, man, I'm just saying. It's not like, I guess, here's all I'll say. It's not considered particularly remarkable for someone to live past 100 anymore. I mean, when it happens, everyone's all like, wow, good for you. But, like, that's not like, being 100 isn't grounds for being the oldest person on Earth right now. That only puts you in, like, the top million these days. So it's like, you never know. That age, that terminal age, keeps getting later and later for humanity, all thanks to that medical technology. Then again, the way the economy is going, it's probably not, like, there's probably going to reach a point where we're not going to have access to that technology anymore. And then our hope is just going to be whether or not we can download our brains into a computer and just be Roboman for the rest of eternity, which I'm on board for. I would love to have a robo body. That sounds rad. I'd almost consider doing it right now if the technology were there. That'd be great. Oldest couple in history lived to be 130. They died days apart. Oh God, that's really touching. Like, they were together. They were together all through it. Aw, that's actually super sweet. We should all be so lucky. That makes me think of my I had a great aunt and great uncle who passed away, like, of natural causes within, like, a month of each other. It's like great Uncle Hugh passed away, and then, like, a month later, great Aunt Carolyn passed away. It was super touching. It was like, I don't know. There's something kind of sweet about that. Robot body like Chappie, kind of. I kind of think of, like, a reverse Bicentennial Man, is what my thought is. Like, you slowly just you just, like, slowly replace parts of your body with more robot parts until you get to a point where it's like there isn't actually a biological component. Like, I don't go to the doctor, I go to the mechanic. That's what my thought always is. And it's just like you slowly turn yourself into a robot until eventually you can have your brain downloaded onto a chip that you install into that robot, that robot-y that you've been slowly building over the years. So that's how I always imagine it happening. Like you basically you go cyberpunk, like go full cyberpunk on it. But only you don't stop at being like a human with robo arms or anything. You just keep on going. Survived mostly on rice, fish, and tea. All right, well there you go. There you go. I'm not a big fan of fish, but I'll eat enough rice to compensate. Put the woman's soul into the hard drive. Yeah, there you go. Turns out the soul is a tangible thing. And you can just inject it into any USB port. Can download it. Question is, where do you plug it into yourself to get it out? All right, man, I've done like 0 writing. This is the worst writing stream. It's like, what's this guy doing? He said he's writing stuff. He hasn't written anything. What a farce. Oh boy. Okay, history of Sis here. Let's think about Zoltyrosis. Let's think about Zoltyrosis. So the history of this guy, I like I say, I want him to be like impossibly old, and he has basically found a way to keep himself alive through magic. Like he's ceased aging through magic. And so he's like 2,000 years old. He's just like a human who's 2,000 years old. So like prior to that, I kind of want to just say, let's just give him like a basic history, like Wikipedia style here. We can just say, I don't know. Sis let's do this. Sis was born in the city of Minadala, which is where he kind of ends up, right? That's where he still is. Born in the city of Minadala with an unremarkable childhood. Born to 2 laborers. He spent much of his childhood, let's see here. Spent much of his childhood under the belief that he would eventually take over his actually, yeah, here, let me change this up. To two born to parents who ran their own general goods shop. Like the most mundane thing. There for a couple hundred years. It's a couple thousand years. So I've been using his soul with energy. That he discovered in the city. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's been like 1,000 years, and like the idea that I have is that his his age has sort of caused his mind to be a little whoo-hoo, right? Like a little just not there anymore. And so like and like I say, there's like this sense of like he goes through this ritual to stay immortal, essentially, but like he doesn't really even have a recollection of why he's doing that. He just like, it's just part of his routine, and he's like a little touched these days, and so he just goes about his routine, right? Like wake up, grab a brush, put a little makeup, have some cornflakes, brush your teeth, go visit the well of eternal youth and partake in the dark ritual that keeps the body young, at the expense of some unknown poor soul that gets sapped of its life on the other side of the world. Clean out the stables, daily routine stuff. It's kind of like the idea that I have for him. Maybe not quite that dark and sinister, but just like he operates on routine and pattern, and he's been doing it so long on his own, right? Like he's been alone for these couple thousand years. So like there's been no one to question him on why he does these things, and in his brain doesn't question himself either. He just goes about his routine. Another force, maybe. Yeah, like we could say, like maybe he created. I do like the energy well. Maybe like in the basement of the tower or something like that, like deep down underground at the tower. Maybe he created like some sort of like, fountain of youth, energy well, energy sink type of situation. that like he bound his soul to back in the day. And like at this point in time, he doesn't remember that he's done that. And like the basement is hidden by the secret entrance. And that could actually be really fun, because it's like if players get inquisitive, you know, they could maybe search and find this and see and kind of learn what's going on, even though he doesn't remember, right? And like he doesn't remember at this point in time that well is down there, but like because his soul was bound to it, yeah, he can't leave. Like there's some sort of like unknown force, or it's like it's not even like a force energy, but it's more so just like a mental thing where it's just like his brain recognizes if he goes too far out, then he can't survive. And so like without realizing he's doing it, after a certain distance out, then he'll come back. And that could be a good explanation for it, because the idea with the player interaction is going to be that like he'll have to rebuild the portal to the next city, which is where they're going, right? Like he has to rebuild that portal. And so, but like he can't get everything that he needs, and so he'll send the players out to do that. And so like without realizing that that's why he has to do it, he's just kind of like, no, you have to go. I can't go there. I can't go there. And he just says that. And anytime they ask why, he'll just be like, I can't go there. And he just kind of says it like that. Like he doesn't really remember. And if they press it, like he'll just kind of get confused and be like, I don't understand why you're asking. Like I can't go there. Like it's obvious. Like, and that's just what he does. And so that's like the explanation. So that could be like the thing that our players can slowly unravel. And there's not necessarily a solution to it. It's just like that gives them the answer about it. So he created the force. Ages past could have made him forget. Yeah. Like there's just, I think the concept that magic breaks the brain is something that is definitely, that magic at least has the ability to sort of break your brain, is something that has definitely been established within my homebrew world. That it like magical radiation could damage the mind and stuff like that. So like that's 100% a legitimate thing. Coming from some imprisoned agent thing, but he's unaware of it being of the being he's sapping from. Yeah, that could be. Like he was aware of it in the time or something like that. I don't know. I feel like we'll unravel it as we go. Let's work on his history a little bit, because I kind of a lot of times the way I'll come up with a good NPC, with like some good history for an NPC, a lot of times the way I'll kind of come up with this stuff is just sort of stream of consciousness it until something kind of just like falls out of my brain. And then, you know, we can go back and edit it and, you know, massage it a little bit if we need to. But that's like the best way to start it, I usually find, is just go with it rather than trying to like sit here and think about it too hard and try to make it perfect before I write it. Just start writing things. So I'm just going to start going with this and see where it takes us. You know, it's a fun journey. Even I don't know what I'm going to write. It's a real professional approach to things. Enchantment and transmutation. Yeah, those are good ideas. Let's see where we go with it. So he spent much of his childhood under the belief that he would eventually take over his parents' shop. However, he always had a strong curiosity for magic, for magic and the ethereal realms. As a child, it was often written off by his parents as simple childhood whimsy. But as he grew and his interest in these subjects, we'll say deepened, there it is. So did his knowledge and skills. Let's say over time he even began to learn simple spells that he would use to help out around the shop, such as animating brooms or conjuring, and such as animating brooms, summoning a magical hand to reach things on high shelves, and even creating ethereal helpers to move and rearrange rearrange things around the shop. Boom, there we go. The Family Reliquary of Trinkets. Ooh, I like that. That's a good title. I hadn't thought about it. I don't know if I'll, and that would actually be really, oh, see, this is exactly, gosh, you guys are such enablers, and I'm here for it. Hold on. Let's go to our atlas here. So we have our Minadala here. Gosh dang it. We're just gonna copy. I don't know how fleshed out we're gonna make this, but that's a good idea, and I like that idea. And here's what we're gonna do. Boom. Make it a subpage of this city. And yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Family Reliquary of Trinkets. Or we'll just do, or some shop that was once owned by cis family. Because I just want to put a little placeholder there, because we might flesh that out, because that would be a really interesting that would be really interesting to offer up to players as a place where they can end up finding some of the secrets about this character if they're like being investigative and paying attention. Is sort of what my thought is. So I want to put that that little bit in there. Unseen Servant, Mage Hand, and Prestidigitation. Yes, 100%. I was like explicitly thinking of those when I did it. I'm just writing it down in more of a narrative approach to it. But yeah, 100%. Like I'm thinking of doing it narrative, because like my thought is, as he's learning these things, he's not learning them in like an official sense. Much the same as how like some kids will, if they have access to a keyboard, will start to learn the piano without like learning the piano, right? So they'll like mimic sounds they hear and mimic songs they hear, and they'll start to like play stuff. And I know this because this is how I like first started learning the drums. Is I never actually like learned. I never took percussion lessons. Well, not never. It's just before I started taking percussion lessons, I started being interested in the drums, and so I would just like hit things and stuff. And so like that's how I started to learn. And so I kind of imagine him as being the same way, as he's just kind of read up on stuff and just sort of had this intuitive knowledge on how to do stuff without any sort of like professional education. So 20 years. Okay, so you got more years on me. I've got like about 10 years that I spent time as a world builder before first getting into D&D, and I consider myself a world builder first and foremost. And thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're having a good time. It means a lot to me. But yeah, like I consider myself a world builder before I consider myself a DM. And like that's why when I'm writing campaigns, I go so deep into the weeds. I can't help myself. Like this is the stuff that I like, you know, and that's why for me a campaign, when I'm writing and running a campaign as a DM, my approach isn't to just sort of reactionary say like, oh, well, what if they do this next? And then they do something and I'm like, oh, okay, so for the next session, maybe they'll go for this. Instead, when I write things, it's like I write out like we're doing, where I create a part of the world where stuff is happening, and our players have the opportunity to interact with and influence those things that are happening, is sort of my approach to these things. And so yeah, no, I'm with you. I consider myself a world builder far beforehand, which is why I kind of like the narrative approach. You know, the second edition character from 10 years ago. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't get into D&D until well into the lifespan of 5th edition, honestly. Like in the grand scheme of D&D, I'm pretty new to the hobby of D&D. And in fact, the first tabletop I ever played was in college. This was maybe, I guess at this point in time, it was about 10 years ago. The first tabletop I ever got into, was actually Call of Cthulhu. And it was because I had a friend who really wanted to play it. And so she asked a bunch of us around in our dormitory hallway whether we'd be willing to play. And I was just like, sure, I'll pretend to be a ghost hunter for an evening every once in a while. That sounds like fun. And that's how I first got into it. And I didn't start doing D&D regularly until like 4 years later when I was in grad school, right? And that would have been, at this point in time, like 6 or 7 years ago. So I haven't been playing D&D nearly as long as I've been a world builder, because I first got into world building in high school when I was inspired by the game Myst. and I was just fascinated with the concept of, hey Z-Bean, how's it going? Good to see you, baby. But like I first got into world building after seeing. I liked the idea of it, and then I started like actually doing it after playing it. But I liked the idea of it after first seeing my sister play Myst, and I was fascinated with the idea of a world written in a book that can come to life. I was just fascinated by that idea. Not like a story that is really vivid, but like the idea of there being a book that simply describes a world that exists, and then that world can be something that you fall into. And like if you fell into the book, it would be a described existing world. And that's kind of what got me into the idea of world building and stuff. So yeah, no, that's like that's kind of like what my history is. Yeah, okay, so it was Final Fantasy Tactics. Okay, all right, nice. I feel that. Like it's not, it wasn't my path, but like I get it. I see where that comes from. Yeah, I feel like everyone's kind of got their own inspirations and stuff, and it's like really fun to kind of learn the origins of that. For most people. But yeah, no, I'm the same. I was into world building well before I was into D&D, and it was like world building that just kind of naturally led into getting into D&D. So you can play Starbound. Nice. You were saying, I think it was you that was saying before that you were playing Starbound. You guys must be pretty into that game. That's awesome. But yeah, no, that's kind of my history about all of it, which is, like I say, why I kind of have a more narrative approach to writing these things and stuff like that. Because for me, it's just like, this is my fun. Like, building these campaigns, building these worlds is my fun, which is always why I tell my players, do not ever feel bad if you ignore things that I've written for you guys. Because my fun, like, while it is super fun for them to experience the things that I've written, like, for me, the fun is writing it. So it's like, even if they never experience half the things that I write for them, I am okay with that because I just had fun making it. And then it's just even more fun to see them fall into it and get absorbed into it and like it too. So, that's my history. That's my history as a DM and as a world builder, baby. It's it's not a particularly moving story, but it's my story. It's my story and I'm proud of it. So, okay, so we got Sis here, entering rooms, arrange things around the shop. So, and then we'll say, one day, as he was helping to close up the storefront at the end of the day, a scholar, we'll say a traveling scholar, because we've already established that the city of Minadala was like a heavy tourist city because it was a very diverse city. So you'd get a lot of people that would like travel in there because they could see a lot of different cultures in like one city that they would visit. So we'll say one day he was helping to close up the storefront at the end of the day. As he was at the end of the day, a scholar traveling abroad happened in. He noticed Sis using magic and saw a great deal of potential in the then, we'll say he was a teenager then. Teenager. So we can kind of do that. Let's see here. And mod fracking universe starts from the beginning. Nice. It's always fun. It's always fun when you can like breathe new life into a game that you love, right? Like that's always a really fun thing. And it's like how Skyrim has managed to somehow be like the primary fantasy game for like a decade at this point in time, because people mod it and keep like breathing new life into it, as well as the friggin' Bethesda just like constantly resuscitating the aging and dying body of it. So world building is a way to help understand mental health diagnosis. Nice. That's like, I feel like my path in world building wasn't born of it, but it definitely helps me sort of express myself and like and sort of work through my own personal thoughts and emotions too. I definitely understand that. Because like for me, it's like I'll take whatever I'm feeling and use that generalized emotion into creating a place and like fleshing out a place, right? So like, or fleshing out a character or something like that. So I definitely get that. I definitely get that. And I think that just kind of harkens back to the idea that I really think that everyone in the world should have some sort of creative outlet. And I think it's a shame that we live in a world that doesn't always allow for that or encourage that. So I'm a big fan of people having creative outlets exactly for those reasons. It's one game, play D&D character based on style god from Florent. Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the I see that a lot from people where like D&D kind of serves as like an entry point for people to like, and like because it's like so open to homebrew and stuff like that, it really does preclude itself well to being an outlet for people who have ideas inspired from other places. I mean, I talk about all the time how a lot of the things that I write for my world are inspired by other bits of media that I've encountered and stuff like that, be it music, movies, other games, things like that. So that makes perfect sense. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, I feel you. Was based on manic auditory hallucinations. Yeah, that makes. I feel like I've heard something about that before. I've never looked into it, but yeah, no, that's really interesting. It's really interesting. So unless you're talking about something that you made, and I'm thinking of something completely different. Maybe I'm making a false connection. I don't know, man. I read so many books. I watch so many movies and TV shows that things will sound familiar that I've never actually encountered before because you just like there's just so much media and references that bounce around in my brain. Whatever it is, like that's really cool. It's really cool that like you've kind of found a way to express yourself through it, and I think that's awesome. And I think that's like the beauty of games like D&D, and just like I say, having a creative outlet, whether it's music, whether it's writing, like all of that is, it's just, you know, it's all really cool, and I think it's really important for people to have an outlet like that. And like I say, I think it's too bad that we live in a world that, depending on your life situation, doesn't allow for that type of expression, right? Whether it's because the people around you don't support you in creative, endeavors, whether it's because like you're so, so busy with like just trying to make ends meet and everything that like you don't have time for it, all of that stuff, whatever the reason is. I think it's too bad when people don't have a creative outlet. And why I consider myself so fortunate that I get to indulge in my creative outlets. I think it's such an important thing. And I think it's been a big help in me just sort of staying mentally healthy and well-adjusted these days. Because I've definitely struggled with like depression and anxiety a lot in my past. And so like being able to have a creative outlet as one of the tools to help keep that in check has been such a valuable thing. Plant people are carnivores. Okay, all right. Nice. I like that. I don't mean this to be like me making a spoof of your idea, but my immediate thought is Petey Piranha. My immediate thought is Petey Piranha chomping around through D&D, which I like, and I say that with all the affection because I think that would be awesome. I think that would be an awesome character. Let's see here. What kind of idea you got? What kind of intro are you throwing down on me here? Wow, that's a dark intro. That's a dark intro. It's a really good like suspenseful cliffhanger there. Interesting. Oh no, the bots are coming in. 1 second, hold on, let me catch up here. We got the bots coming in. Time to bring out the band hammer, baby. Hold up. Oh, they're swarming. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, I don't want best followers and best prime. Get out of here. Ban them all, ban hammer. See, this is what Nightbot needs to do for me. Oh my goodness gracious. Holy crap, there's so many of them came in. Wow, what a brigade that was. Hold on, I'm sorry, guys. The Nightbot spends all its energy getting mad at people when they get excited and use all caps, but it can't block all these guys appropriately for me. Sheesh Louise. That was a lot of them. Oh my gosh, there's still more. Hold on, I'm getting there. We're catching up. Oh boy. Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry about that. But he always looks like he's wearing a diaper. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I don't know. I have a lot of affection for Peter Piranha. Probably because I have a lot of affection for Mario games in general. Mario games, I don't like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door will always, at this point in time, I'm pretty confident saying that it's going to be very, very hard, next to impossible for anyone, for any game to dethrone that one as my favorite game. That is a borderline annual playthrough game for me. It doesn't matter how many times I beat it. But Mario games in general, love that stuff. Love it. Just Mario's my boy. Mario's my boy. And all them characters. All them whimsical characters that he deals with on a day-to-day basis. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay. Wow, that was a bot wave. I feel frazzled and violated and just generally just unacceptable. Unacceptable. But the good news is we got to banhammer a whole lot of them, and that's always fun. There's something satisfying about it, right? I don't know. Anyways, okay, let's keep working on our dude here. One day, as he was helping to close up the storefront at the end of the day, a scholar traveling abroad happened in. He noticed us using magic and saw a great deal of potential in the then teenager. The scholar discussed this with with cis parents and offered to help sponsor cis as a student of the local academy where his skills could be honed. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Just in general, I love doing that kind of stuff. I love just putting in little bits of like a lot of it comes from like video games that I love, where it's just like you go around and you find random journal entries that are just like really disjointed, random pages of books and stuff. Like that exact idea. I do that type of stuff a lot. Yeah. It's just fun adding those little things in there for sure. And there will definitely be a lot of those going in. I don't know if I have a place for that in this particular part of the campaign, but like those general ideas, I love that type of stuff. It's really great. So guys, are you guys talking about the Florins? I'll have to remember to look those guys up. At some point in time. One of y'all, if any of y'all are in the Discord, y'all should drop like a link to a picture of them somewhere in there so I can check it out later, because my goofy brain will forget it. Yeah, no. Like that type of stuff in general, those types of ideas I do that type of stuff all the time as like an intro to a side quest and stuff like that, where you give them a little bit. And like the idea for me is always like I give them a little bit of lore that has a larger lore behind it. So that way I can be prepared to sort of like improv and let them have a side quest within the city or something like that as they're going. But then, or if they just sort of take it as is and call it good there, then, you know, no harm, no foul. So I will definitely do stuff like that all the time. For sure. So, okay, let's see here. Student of the local academy where skills could be honed. Sis was hesitant at first, having always thought he would simply run the shop. But his parents wanted more for him, and now that the opportunity had presented itself, they encouraged him to attend this academy. We'll just say he did, and while not necessarily always top in his class, consistently received high marks and became a very accomplished wizard. There. That, you know what, Xanderfell, I may take you up on that one of these days. Like, I've never considered myself to be a streamer that would be big enough to like see things grow. But like, I've always just done it because it's fun. Like, I've never really intended to like be a streamer per se. But the stream has been growing as of late, which is a surprise to me. It's very much a surprise to me. But you know, it's been cool. So I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind, and I might bend your ear about that in the near future. If trends keep going the way they're going, we'll see how it all pans out. Like, this is all just like a hobby for me. But like, my channel grows and people come by and have a good time, and I'm all like, I didn't realize that people would like my stuff, but here we are. I just did it because I thought it might be fun to try it, and here we are. I mean, you can do it that way, or if you want to get like, if you want to be part of the server, you can just like plop it in one of those. You can just plop it in one of the share, one of the various like general chats or something like that. Either way, either way works. But yeah, no, that would like, because I guarantee you I'll get to the end of streaming today and I'm going to forget, because I know I've got some stuff for my day job that once I'm done streaming for the day, I'll need to take care of before the day is over. So I guarantee you I will forget. And it has nothing to do with with like interest, and everything to do with the fact that my life. So like, one of these days I'll have to like share a snapshot of what my calendar looks like. I have every minute of every day from 4 a.m. to like 10 or 11 p.m. like mapped out with basically what I'm going to do for that day. That's like every day of the week I have that, and then I just like shuffle it around as needed. But like, that's how busy I am with my day, because like I do kickboxing, and like I'm a kickboxing instructor. I do my own kickboxing training. I stream. I have my day job. I do rock climbing. Like, I've got just all these things that I do with my life. So just do general chat or share chat. Like, honestly, like, okay, I'm gonna give you a dirty little secret. It is so chaotic there, and I have like no idea what I'm doing, like running the server. So it's just like, if you share it somewhere, it'll give me a notification, it'll put it there. Like, there's like no wrong answers. I just kind of have those groupings kind of made up, and I made them up like months ago when I was just first kind of starting it from scratch. And I was like, I will just put these seem like decent categories. And I just went with it. So just find the best fit, and it'll work. It'll work. No wrong answers, baby. Just put it down in there. There's no problem at all. Like, you're not going to get in trouble. Like, you're not going to get in trouble. Because the other thing about it too is, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Because the other thing about it too is, like, one thing that I've been really, really stoked about, with, man, you got all the mod experience. You're gonna be my go-to. Gonna be my go-to one of these days when I finally decide to actually get serious about it. Which I'm sure it will happen. Eventually, one of these days, people will twist my arm about it enough. I mean, that's why I have a Discord and why I have a donation link, is because people kept saying, like, oh, we wanna do this, we wanna do that. I'm like, well, why? It's just me. But people have been interested in it. So one of these days, my arm will get twisted enough for it. But yeah, no, like, one of the things that's been really awesome about streaming for me in general, and like the Discord, is like, the people who participate in my chat and the people who participate in the Discord have all been super awesome. Like, maybe I'm jinxing it by saying it out loud, but like, there has not been really a need for moderation of the people. Like, maybe a little bit of bots that come into the chat, but like, since I started streaming, I've had like maybe 2 hecklers come in, and like, people have just been super awesome and super rad about everything. So it's just like, you know, there's been no need to get like snippy with people about posting things in the wrong place or people being mean in chat or anything. Like, it doesn't happen, which I'm like super stoked about. And I'm like waiting for the other shoe to drop for one of these days, for someone to come in and like hate me and things to go horribly wrong. But yeah, like, it's been, I don't know, streaming's been such an awesome experience for me in general. Like, it's been so much fun. I have so much fun doing it. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's been really cool. Been really cool. Yeah, like, so set up servers and stuff. So yeah, I might pick your brain about it if I need to make changes and stuff. I've been like, because my thing is I've just been learning it all from scratch. My education and my experience in life is in biology. Like I have no idea what I'm doing with technology stuff beyond just the fact that I like to tinker with and build my own computers when the economy and like the prices of components allow for it. When that's an option, I like doing that, and like I'm fascinated with tech savvy stuff, but like video editing, server moderation, and stuff like that, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go. Like, it's like I'm the least professional about it ever. But it's been so much fun. Like I've been having so much fun. Like that's why I keep doing it, even though I don't get any money or anything for it. Like it's just I have so much fun doing it. Like I mean, look at like I'm smiling just sitting here talking about the mechanics of it. Like I'm having such a good time with this conversation and being here. And it's just, I love it. I love doing it. It's fun stuff. Sarah Florence, like by them, very primal hunters. Know what I do eat other races in the game. They're trying to modernize and don't kill and devour anyone who's minor inconvenient. I like the idea of them like, just like kind of morally trying to be all like, oh man, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to level with you. Your baby looks super delicious. And I'm not going to eat them. I just like, that's a compliment. Your baby looks so tasty. That's funny. I like that concept. I like that concept. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Programs in general, like programming is something that I don't know that I'll ever get into. Like my efforts to learn computers pretty much max out at like I've watched some YouTube videos on how to do video edits so I can try making some Let's Plays, because it's like streaming's fun. Maybe I'll try doing some Let's Plays on YouTube and see if that's fun. I don't know what I'm doing. Like everything I do is basically just the human incarnate version of that old meme of the golden retriever sitting at the computer going, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like that's just me. That's just me. Hey, no problem. Thanks for stopping by, Z-Bean. I appreciate you being here. And your insights and all that kind of stuff. Have an awesome time. Have an awesome time playing. We'll catch you on the flip side. Hell yeah. But yeah, no, streaming has just been nothing but fun for me. And it's like, that's like the important thing for me too. And it's part of the reason why I resist taking it too seriously. Cause I'm like, I have figured out how to set up roles in Discord. I have figured all of that out. Like that's, it took me a minute, but I figured that stuff out. I did figure that out. But like, that's part of the reason why, like, I think I've resisted trying to be too professional with streaming, is because like, I'm just having a whole lot of fun with it. And I don't know that I really want to have to like, take on the approach of being professional. Like I just have a lot of fun being a complete amateur about it. Like that's the fun part of it to me. Like being able to just like do whatever I feel like. Like I don't want to have to chase viewer numbers and stuff like that. Like if the people show up and the numbers keep growing, that I can eventually be affiliate, sweet, that would be rad. Like why not? I'll do it if the demand is there. But like I don't want to have to chase that. I don't want to have to change the games that I play based on like what's going to give me the most viewers, what's really popular. It's like I just want to do what's fun. Like I feel like that just makes me a better streamer in general, and I'm just enjoying myself. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it all up as I go. What are we gonna do with our wizard? Man, I've done like no writing today, but it's been awesome. I've been having so much fun with this stream today. This has been a great one. This has been a great one, no doubt. But let's see. Let's get a little bit more for our dude written up here. What time is it? Oh yeah, we got some time. We got some time, baby. Let's see here. Give yourself the roll. Let's see here. If you're the owner, even if you give yourself status, just nobody with zero authority, your status as owner will bypass that role. I figured that much. I figured like owner would like sort of inherently give you like ultra moderator like roles and stuff like that. So like I've yeah, like I kind of figured that much and just sort of have been like operating under that assumption. So that's I don't know. I don't know. Like I think that one just kind of like inherently came about. I'm pretty sure I've got like, because I didn't really ever try to give myself any other roles. So it's just like, yeah, I'm just like the owner of it. Like whatever. It's a server. It's a server for people to come and chat if they want to talk about D&D and stuff. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right, let's see with this guy. Very accomplished wizard. We'll say over the years, Sis chose to stay in Minadala. Oops, gotta spell it right. Minadala. There it is. Over the years, Sis chose to stay in Minadala, eventually opening up his own shop where, let's say, actually, okay, I have an idea. Opening up his own shop next door to his parents' shop, often working in conjunction with them to offer magical, we'll say offer enchanted enchanted. What's that called? It's enchanted. Enchanted or otherwise magical versions of the goods in the general store. Life was good. King then mod then VIP. Okay, yeah, fair enough. All right. I smell what you're stepping in. I'll have to scrape out a little time, maybe tonight or something like that, to do it while it's fresh on my mind and while I'm thinking of it. That's a good point. I'll have to do that. Let's see here. So let's see here. Life was good. And Sis slowly built up a reputation as a good and reliable, friendly neighborhood, good and reliable wizard who could help with nearly any magical need. And then we'll say then the Fire Nation attacked. I mean, kind of. We'll just say then the unhinging occurred. We'll say by the time the unhinging happened, Sis was an aging man. His parents had passed many years, and so he lived alone in his tower outside of town. When talk around the town turned to mass evacuation due to the dangers encroaching upon the city from the mountains, Sis offered to stay behind and do his best to protect the city. He figured, so we'll say at that time nobody knew the true nature of the unhinging, and many were hopeful that it would pass and they could one day return to the city. And so the people left while Sis stayed behind. He set up, okay, this is great, actually. This is going to work out really well, and this can really explain why there are a lot of like various dangers and like a lot of like various like magical like alarm systems, like home security systems in place in this city. Like he put them up there, but like he doesn't remember that anymore. So he set up many defenses, and then I don't know, hold up in his tower, beginning his long wait. Occasionally, as necessary, he would return return to the city to collect supplies and refresh any defenses that needed it. And so his life went. But eventually, a year passed, and then 2, and then even more. The dangers continued to come, and the people continued to stay away. Without any word from the people of the city, Sis operated under the assumption that the plan was still the same. But over time, he could not deny that he was growing older and that eventually his time would be limited. Not eventually his time would be limited. Eventually his time would come to an end. Dissatisfied with the idea that he may abandon the city and leave it to ruin when his people returned. Oh boy, return. You can tell I've been going for a little while as my fingers are getting sloppier here. Satisfied with the idea that he may, we'll say he may die and abandon the city. Abandon the city to ruin. There we go. That sounds a bit better. Abandon the city to ruin when his people returned. Ruin or when his people returned. He began looking into ways in which he could prolong his own life so that he may ensure his job remained, or his job was completed. It took years, but eventually he managed to create a, we'll just say he managed to create an energy pool deep within this. I might modify this depending on exactly the details that I want to do, but just for the sake of getting something down, I'm just going to go with it, because I'm ever aware of the concerns of analysis paralysis, where I'll try too hard to come up with something perfectly the first time that I'll just end up not writing anything at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and like follow the train of thought and just get something down, knowing that I can always go back and change it if I need to, as we're continuing to create this city and this dungeon and all this stuff for our players. So it took years, but he eventually managed to create an energy pool deep within the basement levels of his tower by tapping into the oh, Discord broke. Uh-oh, that's not great. Who broke it? Who did this? Let's see, basement levels of his tower by tapping into the raw magic within the world left by the unhinging. We'll do that because the unhinging, like, that was kind of part of it, was it kind of letting magic run amok among the world. That was a big part of it. The internet broke it. Stupid internet always thinking it has the right to do that stuff to us. Oh boy. All right, let's see here. Left by the unhinging. We'll say, you know what? Actually, what I want to do. I want to make that a new paragraph because we're gonna say, world left by the unhinging. Let's see here. Failed to load, error on every single server, even in direct messages. Oh boy. Well, you know what? Well, I'll just take a break from Discord, I guess. I don't know. It's whatever the social media platform is. It's good to take a break from it from time to time. So, hey, maybe this is the world's message. It's like, hey, we're going to take a break from Discord for a day or two. or even if it's just for a few minutes. Like, we're just gonna take a break from it, and it'll come back. We'll come back to it. But for right now, we're gonna focus on other things. Luckily, we're not using Discord right now, or at least I'm not. I'm not. If all of you guys were, then I don't know. Sucks to suck, but. All right, let's see. It took years, but eventually he managed to create an energy pool deep within the basement levels by the unhinging. I'll just make maps. That's like my existence for me. It's like, yeah, I'll just fill out some lore of my world. We'll just write up an NPC. We'll create a god or something like that. I feel that. This pool essentially froze his age at the expense of tethering him to it. He knew that he could not go beyond the limits of the city, or else risk time catching up with him in rapid fashion, but felt this was a fine trade as as he had they're all pointing fingers right now at each other, and then they're all doing the whole who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Who, me? Yes, you. Couldn't be. Then who? They're all just sitting around playing that game. I used to love that game as a kid. I don't know if anyone else ever played that in their schools. I always loved that game. I thought it was so fun. Okay, so but he felt this was fine trade as he had no intention of leaving the city, leaving the city to ruin. But though his body remained. Some of you heard of that game? Oh man, it's a classic. Yeah, it's like you would all sit in a big circle, and one person would be like the chant was like someone, like whoever started it would point at someone in the circle, and they'd be like, so if it was like, if they were pointing at me, they'd be like, Scott stole the cookie, and then everyone would be like, everyone would like chant, who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? And then they would all point at whoever was just selected, and like the person that was just selected would be like, who, me? And then everyone else would go, yes, you. And then you would go, couldn't be. And then it would be like, then who? And then you would pick someone else. And you would just go around picking names until one person was left, and they were the person that stole the cookie from the cookie jar. And like in my elementary school, it was really popular. And we would play it whenever we had like 3 minutes left until the bell rang, and the teacher didn't want to like try to get us to focus before we ran off to the buses or something like that. It was classic. It was classic. It was a staple. It was a staple where I grew up. It was a staple. Everyone knew that game. It was a good one. Okay, let's see here. But though his body remained at its current age, his mind still aged and struggled to remember a past that was growing more and more distant. And now we'll just go ahead and catch him up here. So we'll just say today, Sis hardly remembers anything other than his daily routine of waking up, checking on the defenses that he keeps around the city, and then spending time investigating various magical ideas, many of which he has already explored but forgotten, and will never read about again in the thousands upon thousands of journals that fill his tower. Fill his tower with more pages than he cares to read. So it's like he's kind of like stuck in this situation where he's just like where he's just kind of like going in circles. He's just like living loops. It's like a Groundhog Day type of thing almost. And he's just kind of going over and over the same routines again and again and again and again. And that's our history. That's our history of our poor Zoltyris Devoylikin. Devoylikin. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Boom. There we go. Liar. That's such a good movie. I haven't seen that movie in ages. I should watch that one again. There's a lot of movies that I gotta watch again. I've been like watching a lot of new movies that like I've been really going through my backlog of new movies that I need to watch lately. And so I'm way behind on like my rewatch cycle of like all of the movies that I need to like watch again because I love them. I'll have to do that. I'll have to add that one to the list. That's a solid movie. But okay, I'm looking at the time. It's about 1:30, which means it's about time. It's about that time for me to go ahead. I'm just going to take like a little break, give myself like a 15-minute break, and then we'll come back, and that's when I'm going to switch over and do some gaming. Today is Tuesday, which means we're going to play some Halo. Yeah, so that's what's going to happen here. Let me get us over to just chatting, and for the sake of the VOD here, I'm going to go ahead and just do my little spiel. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go over and just like talk about all the different social medias and stuff you can find me at. If you want the Cliff Notes version, you can go to the About page on my Twitch page, or you can go to the video description if you're watching this on the YouTube VOD and sometime in the future, which is always really trippy to think about. But you can find the links there, but just to offer quick descriptions of all of them. Let's see, I do have a Discord server, as we kind of talked about, although apparently Discord is down right now, so like, you know, maybe this is more for the VOD. But I've got a Discord server if you like talking about D&D, if you like talking about video games, whatever. If you just want to stay connected, it's a great place. I love staying connected with people there. I have a lot of fun sharing memes and anecdotes and stuff with people there. It's a good time. It's a good place. I also make sure to put announcements about when I'm going live or if there's changes to my streaming schedule. So it's a really good place to just sort of like one place catch all to sort of stay connected with everything, is the Discord server. So that's a good one. I have a Twitter. I don't know how to use Twitter. I just do like I'm kind of just like guessing when I post on Twitter. The more valuable thing is I also will put announcements about when I'm going live and stuff like that on Twitter. So I don't know, if you want that, you can find me at EnviroStreams on Twitter. I also have an Instagram, EnviroBoyStreams on Instagram. That one's actually been more fun for me. I've been having fun with that one. Posting videos of me like doing my kickboxing, doing my rock climbing, things that I like talk about that I have a lot of passion for but just aren't on stream. So like if you want to see what's up with all that stuff, you should follow me on Instagram. You should check that stuff out. Like I say, EnviroBoyStreams on Instagram. As I've already mentioned, I've got a YouTube channel. All the VODs go up there. I'm slowly learning a little bit about, like, I'm teaching myself how to do some video editing, so maybe someday I'll, like, actually get around to, you know, putting up compilation videos or something like that. But for right now, it's a really good place to catch the VODs. If you like what I'm doing but can't always watch live, go check it out on YouTube. It's there. So we got all those links, and then the only other link that I already kind of mentioned it. I do have a donation link because people wanted me to make one. So I have that, but honestly, the thing that's, like, the most helpful for me, not that donations are not appreciated, but the thing that really means a lot to me is when you just come by, watch the streams, chat, like, subscribe, follow, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's the stuff that, like, really speaks to me. Like, that's the stuff that, like, I see that stuff, and it helps me know that people are actually having fun with what I'm doing, and, like, that's really meaningful to me. Like, I'm doing this because I love doing it, and so it means a lot to me to see that people like what I'm doing and are also having fun with me doing what I'm doing. So okay, all right, Willow, I will add it to my movie list. I got you, man. I got you. But yeah, so those are all the links. So today's Tuesday, so tomorrow there will be no streams. I don't stream Wednesdays. My usual schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Try to stream from about 11:30 a.m. That's Eastern time zone. That's when I start my writing streams. And then each of those days, 1:30 p.m., again, Eastern time zone. That's when I switch over and do some sort of gaming and stuff like that. So come check me out throughout the week. Next streams the next stream will be after the break here. When I come back, and like I say, we're playing Halo 2 right now. I'm playing through all the Halos because I love those games. They're so much fun. So if you want to see me just spaz out over my favorite games, then you should stick around. But if not, check back on Thursday where we'll do some more writing, and then we'll do some more gaming and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, that's the schedule as it's coming up. Although I will say, Thursday afternoon, Thursday gaming may not happen. I do have a work meeting that's gonna interfere, so I might just have to cancel that one. We'll see kind of when that specific meeting ends up panning out and stuff like that. So I don't know. Stay tuned. Follow on Discord or Twitter to get updates on that. I don't know. But that's so yeah, that's what I got. Like I said, I'm going to take a break. I'll leave things going for now. I'll just leave you guys with a bit of music. Eventually, there'll be a bit of a hiccup in the stream as I switch over for the sake of the VODs to get some gaming going. But I'll leave you here. If you guys want to hang out, it might be a little bit longer of a break because I got to check on some work stuff that's been, that's a little time sensitive that I have to take care of. So it might be a little bit longer, but I 100% will be back to do some gaming. So if you want to hang out, you can do that, or you can come check back in a little bit, and yeah, join me for gaming. But even if you don't, you know what? I appreciate so much that you guys were here. Been having a lot of fun. Like, I just have so much fun with streaming. It's such a fun thing. Like, I've already gushed about it. I don't need to gush about it again. But I have a great time doing this, and it means a lot that you guys stop by. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of fun with it, and I appreciate you guys. So I'm going to take my break. I'll leave you here with music, and I will be back in a little bit. So I will see you all shortly. I will catch you cats on the flip side. All right, I'll see you in a bit.